is everybody doing today? Happy Thursday. I am here giving a little lightning talk about my as a first-time consultant's exploration into different Git history and file structure data visualizations and how we can benefit that as consultants. I don't know about you guys, but I've never been a consultant before. So I'm learning a lot of new things every day. It's vastly different from being a full-time developer. My main goal is just to be better than I was yesterday and to have tomorrow be better than today. Right, so let's get started. Okay, so we've all been here. It's Sunday night. Tomorrow marks the first day at a new client. What do? Let's go to GitHub. Let's look at the code base. Let's look at some overlying themes we might see. And we come here to GitHub. We see a collection of files and folders, you know, the same kind of deal. Now we're asking ourselves, what can I get out of this experience? How can I prepare for this? I'm learning how important the prep stage is. And let's kind of focus on that and see how we can make prep time more effective, especially when we're moving clients so quickly. Right. So obviously there are some limitations to just reading through the Git repos, and we might not be getting a bird's eye view of some dependencies. There's some things we're missing by just looking through a bunch of files with text in them. So there's got to be a better way. There has to be some way we can visualize this data in a way that is meaningful and gives us a little bit more edge so that we know what we're getting into with maybe Git history, commit history, and who's using the project, who's in the project. So, right, like I said, some little limitations about the GitHub review. It's hard to see file dependencies and relationships within the file structure. It's also difficult to digest code behavior by just reading code line by line. So, if you will humor me, please, let's go on a learning adventure. Cool. So some goals for this learning adventure. I set out 4 little goals that we want to keep in mind as we look at these cool little tools and libraries. So if I'm prepping to go for a new client, I want to get a more in-depth, high-level, is that like an oxymoron, understanding of the project's file structure, see how things are lined out. Does this project adhere to the conventions of the language it's written in? What does the file tree itself look like, and where are those dependencies and where do they lie? Our second goal for this learning adventure, we want to gain knowledge of anything out of the ordinary in the project, maybe any red flags that we can see from a high-level perspective. Are there any like giant commits in the history? Like, what is their typical commit size? What does their history look like? Is there a large amount of people committing to this project? That sort of thing. Our third goal, let's get a general sense of the people who are contributing to this project. Are the developers specialized, or do you see them having influence in all aspects of the stack? Is one developer maybe kind of dominating the code base? What does that mean for maybe corral and team collaboration? And is their deployment system fluid, or is a single developer in charge of merging or shipping features, that sort of thing? And finally, we want to get like a basic orientation to navigate through the project. So we come in first days, we feel more prepared, we know where things are located, why they're there, and maybe as a bonus, we kind of sound like we actually know what we're talking about on the first day. Cool. So our first little data visualization is called file tree structure flowers. And let's go look at one. So if you guys just holler at me if you can't see anything. So here we have, these things are gorgeous, a beautiful little file structure tree. This is a Rails app that I worked on in a previous life. And let's just look for any like high-arching themes. We can kind of see if there are these giant blobs, which are larger files. So let me backtrack. The circles represent files, which are tied together by these folders, and the lines are like relationships within the code base. The larger the diameter for the circle means the longer it is, so the more code that is in that file. So we can kind of get a high-level view of some relationships and dependencies within the project and kind of analyzing how they're grouped. So this is a Rails app, like I said. You can see here, here's our app folder, and you're seeing these branches off of it, like here's our model folder, and we're seeing different models. We also have views down here. Some of these big guys, we can check out what those are. Usually libraries or just like very big files of code. Great. And then we see this beautiful little guy. We can kind of see like, what's this? It's our migration folder with all these similarly sized migration files. Cool. So let's go back. Say bye to our flower. Let's take a look at our goals. What did we learn using this tool? So I would say we did get a high level understanding of the structure of the file. We know where things are. We can see where dependencies lie. And we can also kind of orient ourselves, see where there's big clusters of files, and see kind of how the project is routed. Cool. One thing we can check out is Git history and commit sizes. I have this little script that grabs data from a repo's Git history. So it'll grab username, the amount of lines in that commit, and just a timeline, so over time. So let's check that out. We have this lovely little graph in D3 of a little Git history and its addition of lines to a code base over time. So here, maybe we can look for just any large spikes in the code base or large valleys, and what might that mean? So here we see a giant spike. Maybe somebody added a library, new features, rebranding, something to add a lot of code to the code base. And then here we see somebody pulling out a lot of logic there. Cool. So I guess you have a sense of the size of the code base and its relationship to time. See how our goals doing? Bam, okay. So we can kind of look for any high level history, anything out of the ordinary, or just anything monumental. So a big change in the code base, we want to know about that. We want to kind of see what that means for us in present day. Cool, and my last little doohickey here is a library called Gors, which is an incredible tool, really simple to use. You essentially run this command in a project that uses source control, and it'll output an MB4 video for you of the Git history and the file tree. So I'll show you. It's a visualization of the project's kind of growth over time with the actual authors of the commits. So let's get that going. Cool. So this Gors example is actually from RSpec Rails Gem, and it's starting in December 2009 with the first commit, and we'll just watch a couple seconds of it and see its progression over time, kind of how it's progressed over time. Cool. So we see our first author. We see all these files get generated. Still one author. We got some more people to come into the team. Look at these guys go. So we can see they're kind of defining context boundaries, adding more people to the team. The files are getting bigger. We're having a little bit more of a complex tree. And you can kind of see how things are getting grouped by responsibility and kind of, so where developers are, where they're spending most of their time in this project. It's actually really cool. Neat. All right, we'll see you later, Rails guys. Cool. So let's take a look at our goals. I think we've completed our goals. Bam, she hits you with the animation. Okay, so now we have a general sense of the people who are contributing to the project and kind of a more in-depth level of the file structure too. Cool. So I guess that's kind of it for me. Just kind of some tools I've been tinkering with, kind of better prep for new clients and to just get into all kinds of open source code bases and learn more about them in a different point of view. I made a little file on GitHub with how to set yourself up with these projects and visualizations. And I have put a broken link here. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.